everybody. My name is Deputy Chief Greg Van Dyke with the Manlius Fire Department, and today we're going to show you guys Truck 2. So this is Truck 2. Truck 2 is a 70-foot Sutphin tower ladder. The ladder truck has many purposes on a fire scene. Some of those are ventilation to get smoke and heat out of a house, search to search for victims, forcible entry to open up the house or the building for the firefighters who are going to take the hose line in. Truck 2 seats 6 firefighters. One firefighter is what we call the chauffeur. That's the person that drives the truck there, sets up the aerial, and pumps the truck if we need water out of it. That person sits right here. Truck 2 has a capacity for 6 firefighters. So we talked about the driver. On the other side is the officer. We'll talk about that when we go to the other side. And in the back here, there's seats for 4 firefighters. As we move along the vehicle, we'll kind of go through what it's in each compartment. So this compartment here is for quick access when the firefighters get off the truck. There's a set of irons in here and some fire extinguishers and some hooks. So this is the pump panel. This is what the operator uses to put water in and out of the truck. This next compartment here, it has some electrical cords in it and our cord reel. This compartment above the wheels is the operator's compartment. This is where all the fittings and stuff are stored to adapt different size hoses. This next compartment here is the tool compartment. It has a bunch of various hand tools to do different jobs on a fire scene. The last compartment is the ventilation and forcible entry compartment. Houses our fans and our forcible entry tools and a light. As we come around the back, the compartment in the lower rear is the saw compartment. Houses 2 different saws to do ventilation work with. Back here, we have our saws. So a chainsaw and a circular saw. This is what we call a chimney kit for in case you have a chimney fire. There's stuff in here to take care of your chimney fire. And then just the different accessories that go along with our saws. So one of the duties of the truck company, traditionally, is to ventilate the house. There's a couple different ways of doing that. We talked about fans a minute ago. The other way is vertical ventilation. So you might see a couple firefighters, either in the bucket or on a ladder, go up to the roof with a saw. Depending on what kind of roof it is, depends on which saw we're going to use. And they're going to cut a big hole. The purpose of that hole is to let the smoke and the heat out of that house to make it tenable for the firefighters who are inside trying to do their job. In the rear here, underneath this cover, is where we store our large diameter hose. This hose is what we use to connect to fire hydrants to supply this truck with water. So this truck, while we have this big aerial device on top, sometimes we can't get the truck close enough or we don't need to use that big ladder on the top. So this truck carries smaller extension ladders on it as well. We have a 35, a 28, a 24, and a roof ladder on this truck as well. This compartment all the way in the rear is the RIT compartment. RIT stands for Rapid Intervention Team, and this houses everything we need to set up as the Rapid Intervention Team on a fire scene, as well as some hoses in case we need to do an extended hose line. The next compartment is just some various tools, some toolbox, a tool bag, and then some spill stuff in case we need to clean up some fluids from a car accident. Above the wheel wells are some spare cylinders for our air packs. And this last compartment towards the front has some water rescue equipment in it in case we go to a water rescue call, and some tarps for fire scenes. Up here underneath the turntable we have some various lights and another cord reel to power lights and fans and whatever else we need. So some of you guys may be wondering, this here is just a regular water fire extinguisher. Even though we bring this big fancy fire truck, sometimes a trained firefighter, all he really needs is that water can. He can do quite a bit of work with just that little bit of water. So this here is the officer's seat. Out of those 6 people that we talked about earlier, one of them is an officer or an OIC, an officer in charge. That person's going to sit in this seat. And this person's responsible for what goes on in this truck in keeping the crew together and keeping them on task.
Thanks, Chief. We certainly did learn a lot about what the truck carries, what the responsibilities are of the truck company, and why it's got all those ladders. Next up is going to be Captain Hoham, and he's going to talk to you about one of our specialty vehicles, Squad 32.
Good morning. My name is Captain Ross Hoham, and I'm here to talk to you about Squad 32. This is a 2010 four-wheel drive Sutphen pumper that we use primarily for technical rescue, technical rope rescue, water rescue, and then for secondary purposes, this goes to motor vehicle crashes as well as fires. This is the Squad 32 pump panel. This is where the driver operator makes connections for hoses if they want to pump water from a hydrant into a hose line to put out a fire. In this next compartment here over the wheel, you'll find additional adapters that the driver operator will use to make those hose connections, as well as some equipment for drafting for rural water supply and some medical equipment. In the last compartment here, you'll find technical rope rescue equipment. There's helmets, ropes, harnesses, and other hardware like pulley systems that are used for technical rope rescue. There's also a cache of hand tools, sledgehammers, axes, things like that in the back. Here in the rear, there is a basket stretcher or Stokes basket that slides into a compartment. There's also hundreds of feet of supply line hose that we'd use to make a hydrant connection to supply water. In the lower rear compartment here, you'll find battery-operated Hurst Jaws of Life. They're our hydraulic rescue tool that can be used at motor vehicle crashes. Here on the right side of the vehicle, the rear compartment, there's some additional equipment used at motor vehicle crashes, as well as some extra rope rescue equipment. Next to that, you'll find just simple things, traffic cones, some more utility rope, and then in front of that, there's some additional equipment for water rescue. There's some helmets and personal flotation devices in there. As you go up the side of the vehicle here, you'll find the other side of the pump panel. Again, that's where the operator would get water from hydrants or pump water over to other fire trucks at the scene of a fire.
Officer.
On this side, this is where the officer sits. As you can see, there's a computer up there. We call that the MDT, or the mobile data terminal. We get information updates from the 911 center based on what the call information is. From there, we also have radios for dispatching and communication with other units.
I bet you had no idea that our firefighters were trained in things such as rope rescue, auto extrication, and even water rescue. Thanks, Captain Hoham, for giving us that tour of the squad. Another thing you might not know about us is that we run an advanced life support EMS service. Next up is going to be firefighter paramedic Jay Simons, and he's going to take you through our EMS fleet.
My name is firefighter paramedic Jay Simons. Here at the Manlius Fire Department, not only do we fight fires, we also provide medical services to our community. We do that using these vehicles right here. We have 2 ambulances, and this is our medic car, which provides additional medical assistance for those really bad calls. These ambulances are just like an emergency room on wheels. Let's go take a look. Okay, one of the things we have to do is get the patient from the house to the ambulance, or from a second floor down to a first floor. How we do that is right here in this cabinet. We have a stair chair, 2 different types. One has these fine rails on it to roll a patient right down the stairs. This one we have to manually carry. We'll step around to this side. Here we have some patient care equipment. We have fracture splinting like you saw in the video of the EMS training that was happening. So if somebody has a broken leg, we have the ability to splint those and stabilize them and get them to the hospital. Now we're going to step into our emergency room. So right here we have our stretcher, which the patient generally lays on. We can sit the patient up, we can lay the patient down, however they're most comfortable. This is what we call our first in bag. It contains airway, oxygen, mask, some kind of first line stuff to take care of our patients right away. Over here is our cardiac monitor. We use this to monitor the patient's heart rate, and we can tell if people are having heart attacks or some kind of other issue with the heart. We can see that right on this screen here. And it also acts as an AED, just like you've learned about in CPR. We have to give people electricity to restart their heart. We do it with this device. Here we have our medication bag. This bag contains all the same drugs that you have in a hospital ER. So when somebody has a cardiac arrest or their heart isn't working correctly or they need pain management, all that's contained right here. And we can take care of all those anomalies right here in the back of this ambulance. So you'll notice that we have several seats inside this ambulance. These seats are for us to work in, so depending on which side of the patient we need to get to, we have several places with complete seat belts that we can sit. If a family member would like to ride with you to the hospital, they typically ride up front in the passenger side of the ambulance. That way they're safely belted in and we can, do what we need to back here to take care of our patient. So now you've seen what we have to offer and what the ambulances look like. Remember, if you or a family member ever have an medical emergency, feel free to call, don't hesitate. It's better to have us come and make sure everything's okay than to not call at all.
We hope that you enjoyed the tour of some of our apparatus today. Stay tuned for additional videos of the rest of our apparatus that we have here in Manlius. If you're interested in becoming a member of our department, either a firefighter or an EMT, or if you're a youngster and you want to become part of our Explorer Post, take a look at our website at www.manliusfire.com or give us a call here at the station. Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy.